Hello, guys. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Raj.
I'm Zach, and we have our guest here, Matthew Kelso.
Today, we're going to be talking about the war between console and PC. So let's get right into it.
Okay, so how we're going to start this off is our argument is going to be based on a couple set of rules. Is that we are considering some things that should not be included in the argument. A couple should be exclusives, monitors, and also external accessories. Raj, name a few.
Like the unnecessary accessories like headsets, extra mouses, extra controllers, things such like that are not necessary.
So we're talking about the things that you'd get straight out of the box when you would order a PC or a console.
Trying to make this as fair as possible, basically. So let's hop right into it. Let's talk about hardware, guys. So where do you want to start?
Let's hear PC first.
So PC, wow, where do I begin? There's so much hardware that goes into PC gaming. I mean, there's so many options. I know we don't want to talk about we'll get into the money later, but obviously PC is more expensive, and then depending on how much it costs, the better the hardware.
I think just a quick briefing. What do you think, since you are a mindful PC gamer, what do you think the minimum or the best cost is, just for comparison, for a pre-built PC to compare to these two systems?
Well, pre-built's like hard to compare because companies, stack up the price. But so a good price to start, at least on PC games, is around $600, I would say. I mean,
we'll use that as a baseline later when we go into money.
Sure, exactly.
But I think first, since Xbox and the PlayStation are so close, we should first compare what things we're using. So for a baseline, we're using the newest consoles available, which are Slim and the S.
The Xbox One S, right?
We are not considering Scorpio because that thing doesn't out. It's nowhere near. We don't even have enough details.
Right.
So
what's the main difference between the two consoles, guys?
Primarily, the Xbox, I guess, it runs faster, but the PS4 has better graphics.
Better graphics?
That's just the hardware aspect.
So it's a difference between the graphics on the PS4 and the processor on the Xbox, is that right?
Yeah, the CPU aspect of it. Yes.
CPU, the PlayStation, I think, has... I don't know what the CPU on the PlayStation has. Maybe you can look that up, Raj. But I believe the Xbox, we don't know what it has because it's a proprietary... I don't know if this is true, but I believe it's a proprietary processor.
Sure.
Like, we don't know what it is.
Okay.
But I didn't see that. That's not for S.
Doesn't PlayStation use a AMD card? That's right.
I do have...
Yes, PlayStation has an 8-core AMD processor.
Okay.
I do. So here, I'm going to just read it off because I have it right here. I know, Raj, you might not have the correct for the S and the Slim, but I have the Slim. The Slim has an 8-core x86 AMD Jaguar, but it does also have AMD Radeon graphics.
Oh, okay.
Where, I don't know, and then we also have the S has AMD Jaguar 8-core for the CPU, and the GPU has something else.
Sure.
12 compute units.
And I mean, that's no joke. I mean, that's where I find a strong suit in the hardware and on the PC, or not PC, I'm sorry. The consoles, I mean, it's optimized perfectly for gaming. Obviously, it's not going to get anywhere close to the performance as a PC due to the price point.
But
obviously
we'll talk about that. Yeah. How the drop is, for some, is well worth it. Sure. But also, I have to mention that the Slim, which I was not aware of, also has a 500 gigabyte model. I'd say one of the only storage advantages for the Xbox One S would be you have the availability to upgrade to a 2 terabyte model, but I think since both of us know that it'd be way cheaper just to get an external hard drive.
Yeah.
Sure.
Exactly. The PS4 external hard drive, not only is it too complicated to set up and like attach and whatnot, but it's also way more expensive than it is for the Xbox One S to just buy.
So I guess it depends how tech savvy you are, if you were to say,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
the not tech savvy person would get the 2 terabyte model,
Mhm.
and it would make a difference in their eyes. But to a more intelligent gamer, the difference for hardware doesn't matter in retrospects of storage. I'd
And
say.
for PC at least, I mean, I don't want
PC is
to kill
extremely
you guys right now.
customized.
But yeah, I mean, it's in a different bracket. I mean,
But I
you
would have
can
to,
load 18 terabytes
Yeah, but
of
that's
storage, and
18
you
But I
can
would say
SSDs,
that's
you have hard drives.
un-
I mean, I'm just saying PC.
That-
it's very unrealistic. Though I would say
This isn't a scenario when you have unlimited amounts.
I would say for a laptop or even a PC, the average PC is going to have between a good PC is 1 to 2 terabytes, which is around the hard drive space that we're.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying it's there. It's an opportunity. It's just how much you want to spend.
Would you
on
say
your
the
computer
recommended minimum for hard drive would be a terabyte, or
Yeah.
would you even go 500 gigabytes?
You know, the baseline nowadays is obviously a terabyte, and what's coming popular is a terabyte and a small SSD. And what people do is run their Windows on their SSD, so just your computer boots up really quick. That's the new meta, the big thing right now in the PC world.
Yeah, I've heard.
So also, I want to talk about. I also don't. We're also going to exclude the Xbox does have the Kinect, but since I'm an Xbox user, I don't find much use in the Kinect unless you play Kinect specific games. And the PlayStation has, like, the PlayStation also has like Wii controllers, doesn't it? Something like
Yeah,
that.
I'm not sure what it's called because it's not any use unless you're into like fitness and
Yeah.
whatnot, which is
I will-
the casual gamer usually is not looking.
And now that I think about it, we are excluding that because of that's an extra accessory we're including what's in the
Yeah.
box.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to add that I have an Xbox at home. I do have a Kinect, and I don't use it at all. There's
Same.
really no use to it.
In fact, I
So-
unplug it most of the time because I find that it annoys me.
Yeah, mine's sitting in a closet somewhere. So let's go ahead and exclude the Kinect and the magic wands from the PlayStation. Whatever they are, man.
Yes.
So I do want to point out that unlike what I previously thought, the Slim has upgraded to Ethernet, which I thought would be a big
Yeah.
issue. The Pro,
Right.
the Pro does not have an Ethernet, which is very.
That's
surprising.
That's
it's
surprising.
It was
Yeah.
surprising when it first came out, and it was like very demanded. So then they
Mhm.
decided to put
because
it on
graphics is everything. So
Yeah.
to feed in those graphics, you have to have a good connection if you have
Yes.
bad Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to add, at least on the hardware side, I know this is an accessory, but this is something that just needs to be said. VR. So we're getting into a different age of gaming, and VR is very, very
Very.
important. So I know PlayStation has PlayStation VR.
Xbox, unfortunately,
PC has
does
the
not.
whole lot, and Xbox is kind of lacking a little bit. I'm sure they're working on something.
Yeah,
behind closed
Pretty sure
doors,
Scorpio's probably.
Scorpio is projected to be VR ready, but
Yeah.
but PlayStation does have to jump on the VR.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just letting the viewers know that that's out there for.
But for this
Viewers.
argument, yeah, we're talking to the viewers.
Yeah, it's a
For
podcast.
this argument, it's just we're excluding that. That is a good price point or a selling point for the
Yeah,
PlayStation.
yeah, it's definitely one of their pluses.
Is
Right.
I don't know this or not. Is the Slim? I know the Pro is VR ready, but is the Slim VR ready?
Yeah,
as
Slim
well?
is also VR ready because I do.
This is
Okay.
the next one up, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, it obviously is ready.
So-
it's gonna carry.
One thing that I do want to mention is
Excuse me.
this is where I'm going to do a compare and contrast. Where the Xbox does, I think, is targeted towards the average consumer because it has an IR blaster. Yeah, because part of the hardware is it has an IR blaster, which allows, for those who don't know, allows you to control your TV with your remote control,
Yeah,
not
sure.
with that. But also, I think it has. This is all I think it has on Jump, is that it has a HDMI in and out, so you can feed
Yeah.
a cable box to
Yeah.
it. And then the other thing is that it does replace a Blu-ray player, which the PlayStation does not have.
Okay, the only thing I could counter that that is a very
whoa,
valid.
whoa. No Blu-ray player in the PlayStation?
I mean,
That's a big.
that's a Well, that's if people
That's a
choose
hit.
Blu-ray.
That is a hit. I mean,
That's a hit.
because
Yeah,
the Xbox One S, 4K video
4K,
streaming,
yes.
4K
It's-
capabilities. Obviously,
It surpasses the PS4.
Yeah,
Now,
so
I will shoot myself in the foot right here, but I do have to say that they are both 4K compatible, but the Xbox One S, I'm afraid to say, is not true 4K. It's like, I believe, I don't know, but I know the PlayStation is true 4K.
Yeah.
But I believe what it is the Xbox. You can correct because you have one as well, Kelsey. But the Xbox has a streams 1080, but then upscales it, if that makes sense.
yeah, it upscales it.
So that's where it's got to be
Well,
on that
that's
market.
that's also, yeah, that's true. And then you mentioned earlier about the IR blaster.
Yes.
That's a very valid point, and it's a very beneficial to have. But all I'm gonna say to counter that right now is a lot of TVs these days are connectable to anything, and many people while they're gaming have their phones with them, and phones nowadays have apps for universal remotes and whatnot.
But
Yeah,
only,
I would
only-
like to add that TV's really dying. In my opinion, I don't think.
This is
it'll
you're a
stick
PC
around
guy
very
and you're
long.
into monitors.
So yeah. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that, guys.
But I do feel it makes TV not as hard anymore.
Yeah,
TV
that is also
Sure.
yes.
I think it's coming in more now than ever because everybody's ditching their cable boxes. Everybody's going
Yes.
to Netflix and all that. So that's why I think the HDMI in is not that strong of a strong suit because everybody's going to Netflix and Hulu, which the Xbox and the PlayStation both have compatible.
Yes.
And that
What's
was a big.
Where's the PC at
Yeah.
there?
Well, I was getting to that. That's one of the Xbox's big selling points. You know, Xbox One. You are on. It's just you. It's all
very
about you.
user friendly.
User friendly. I mean, that's a big selling point for consoles. I mean, we've known that forever. But
Yeah.
that's a good point. Now, PC, obviously, it's just you hop on Chrome or whatever it is. It's not really user friendly for TV or any entertainment purposes. I mean, PCs were originally built for productivity, business, etc.
Of course, now they've slowly transitioned into
Yeah.
gaming.
Exactly.
I have only two things before we transition to the next topic. One thing is that both of the consoles from their previous predecessor, which is 2 years ago,
Yeah.
have both
Legacy
tremendously
consoles. Right?
packed down their size.
Yes, they've
The Xbox, the original Xbox and the PlayStation originally was still smaller than the
Yes,
Xbox,
of course.
and the newer versions of the PlayStation also still small. But I don't know. I know the Xbox. Does the PlayStation have the power brick in the system now? Is that
yeah.
okay?
It's just
so
it's just
Yeah.
which
cord.
makes it even more portable for that.
Yeah, of course.
human
No, I've heard-
version.
Also,
Does that make it run hotter, or is that?
it does heat up just a little
I- just a
faster,
little
but it's
bit. I
not
think
that big of
What
a
it
difference.
was is back in the day when the Xbox 360 had the Red Ring of Death. It was an
Oh,
original.
yes.
I think it was an accessory, like an add-on, because I think that's what made it too hot. Was it had it internally, and the Xbox wasn't ready for that.
Yes.
I think they've I don't know, grown up to realize that now we're ready for this. And I would like to say, before we get to the next topic, a little bit on software. I do believe that the main screen on Xbox or PlayStation has Xbox B because
Yes, it's so much.
Xbox, I love Xbox. The problem is that Xbox has so many. Kelsey, you can add this too.
I
They have
don't.
so many ads. Like they have so many things that you just don't need. I want the game and like my other games I have and like eject this button. That's all I
Of
need.
course.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I do have to counter that with kind of shooting myself in the foot. PS4, although it's nice because it gives you everything you need on one slide, and you can scroll through them as you need, but it bases it on the most recent used or recently opened thing.
Okay.
And sometimes maybe you're just not feeling games for like a couple of weeks, and you kind of alter between different apps.
So it pushes
You have
it down.
Yeah, you have to search through everything and open up the game.
Right, right.
Whereas Xbox, if you put in the disc, it usually comes up near the
Alphabetical order or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
not.
front. It's
friendly
easier to
to you.
sort,
Yeah, right.
but it is also a lot smoother than what I've experienced Xboxes to be.
So
Sure.
I think now is the perfect time to jump to the next topic. And I want to make the first major point into our next topic, which is money, which is a
Oh,
big
no.
deal. So I'm gonna do a slight conversion into it.
PC's gonna take
But
a hit.
I'm
No
gonna take a hit at Rod first. So
Oh,
the problem is the PC's major selling point is once you're invested, everything is
You're
cheaper,
good,
which
yeah.
is true. Everything is cheaper. You can get Kelsey, what's the best deal you ever got on Steam, for example?
So I will say right now, the whole entire BioShock series, so about 4 games, and the new they remastered the games as well. So that's 8 games for $3.
That's incredible.
You know,
It is.
Steam really treats you nice
But-
during these winter and summer sales.
Money, PlayStation has to beat only a little bit with the subscription service. Xbox has a $60 subscription.
Yeah, 50.
But I think what shoots you in the foot is that for backwards compatibility, which is a
Yeah.
newer thing, is that
Oh, that's right.
for those of those who kept 360 games, and even if you want to go and get a new 360 game, you're allowed to do that, and you can plug and play
Free of
for
cost.
the Xbox.
Free
But-
of cost.
But the thing with the PlayStation is you have all of that is separate. Like you have to pay a separate. What is it?
It's a different subscription of $15. I think it's the annual fee.
Okay.
So that pushes you over what?
65.
65?
65.
So
yes.
that's if you're looking for that.
That's it. That's for people who have followed through the consoles.
I would like to add really quick, PC does not have a subscription service at all. Backwards compatibility is not an issue because there's only PC. I just like to toss that in there.
That's
It's one
also
of
a
the,
benefit.
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of the beneficials.
But
points to
also,
it after the investment.
The thing is which I didn't like about the PlayStation, just because any of the discs that you have of PlayStation, the older PlayStation games, don't work with the PlayStation. Like if that makes sense. Because all the backwards compatible games you have to stream, right? It's not like
Yeah.
hardware. So
No. It's all software that has to be downloaded.
so that can also
Yeah.
like slow it down if that makes sense.
So you have to rebuy.
Well, I don't think we have to rebuy it as much. I think there's some online thing. I haven't really messed with it too much.
Do you like send them a picture and say,
It's not necessarily a picture, but I think there's
Something
an
like that,
account or
obviously.
something where if you had it in previous consoles, it would show
Right.
that you've installed it on previous consoles, then you have it available.
Sure. Okay.
Now,
that makes
I
sense.
think the thing that has consoles a little bit beat on PCs, because PC's main argument is that every game is $60. But nowadays, with the
I mean, yeah, with GameStop around.
newer games
Yeah.
are $60, but also a newer game on PC is also $60. What I want to say is that
Sure.
the one thing that is dying out but is still available for consoles is pre-owned discs are very, very cheap. Like
Of course.
online, you can buy like a pre-owned game for about $10,
Sure.
and it could still be only a year old, and that's still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's other websites besides Steam. I mean, there's G2A that just drops it down just a slight bit more. And obviously, I don't do this, but there are people out here that do this. Just pirate the games. I mean,
Of course.
illegal,
Well, I mean, it's gonna happen.
free, but it's obviously.
Well,
gonna
if
happen in
we're
this
talking
society.
about games, we have to talk about the aspect. About money, transitioning into games and the gaming experience and whatnot. You have to talk about when you have friends over or like a company over.
Sure.
With the console,
You have
you could like I understand we're not talking about the accessories, but we could always add an extra controller and play.
Right,
On
right.
the PC.
This is a
You
good
can't
point. This is a
add
good point.
a second keyboard and a second mouse.
You can. It's just not legit. Not.
And it's
feasible.
harder
It's
to
not
do as
gonna
well.
happen. It's not going to happen, especially with most of these games
So,
taking up most of your
the-
processing power.
the
You can't
gaming.
run
I'd have to say the gaming community in PC. I'd almost like to say is a lot more in depth. Like you have to be in the know to know.
I'd use a different term.
What would you use? Like,
Cancer.
why would you say that?
It's just a wide variety of people. It's obviously more mature than console, I would say.
I would have to agree as well.
Yes, because people who
because
have
of
funds are generally
and
on it.
the knowledge of building or buying.
yeah,
using-
whatnot.
Yeah. But there's
But I've also heard it's very chaotic.
yeah, it's a little chaotic. It's a wide variety of people. It's very diverse, if you will.
Well, personally, for PS4, it's not a social community as much as PC is.
Sure.
I would almost like to argue that, I don't know, back in the day, 360, I thought 360 had one of the best communities. More than PlayStation. I would have to say, almost on the Xbox, it's almost a little bit more encouraged to talk, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Trash talk, that is. I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
But also, I know, since we're not talking about added accessories, but what I do know is, in the box, when you get a Xbox, I do believe you
Get a
get
mic.
you get a cheap mic.
You get
Oh,
get
you
that
get
clip-
one with
Yeah, they get the
PS4 as well.
like
We
the
get the one
earbuds.
headphone with the mic.
Yeah. They're a little bit more funky.
And sometimes
I imagine.
people actually prefer those over actually like bought accessories.
So it's less
mics.
hot, less.
It's not as
Yeah.
heavy too,
Yeah.
or over time it can get. And you
Oh,
don't
and-
get that. You don't get that head.
No.
The head.
Headset hair.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's a struggle. Okay, when we talk about gaming experience, I'm gonna take a hit at
Go ahead.
Xbox
Do it.
over here.
Yeah,
The
we'll just-
controller. The PS4 controller is generally talked as one of the most, not user friendly, but the most well
I-
felt.
I would
guess,
have to say.
I will.
controllers.
This is
out
what
there.
I believe. I believe the DualShock controller is a great controller. It is superior on the PC.
Yes.
So if you put Xbox and Xbox controller and a DualShock controller on a PC, I do believe the DualShock controller will take it all day long, and that's because of the added the touchpad
Yes,
on there,
Of course.
which I think is fun.
That was really cool when that came out.
But also,
Yeah, I really
the
like
one thing that switched the controller for me is that the old, if you would remember, the old PlayStation.
I remember the
when you played
PS2
shooters,
controllers.
you had to use the top button.
Yeah, the bumper
That
instead of the
really
trigger.
annoyed
That
me.
always messed me up too.
Because if you're shooting things, you pull the trigger,
Yes,
but it
of
wasn't
course.
back in the day. But now that they switched it, I do believe it is a better controller.
Yeah. You always had to go in and switch in the settings and
Mhm.
do all this. But
But-
I will say, 100%, the PlayStation controller destroys the Xbox controller. The Xbox One, at least.
Now, I do want to say
That's
the
what I
Xbox
say.
One S is a little bit different. The only difference is it's got little sticky stuff on the back.
Yeah,
for
yeah, I've
grip,
noticed
whatever.
that.
But I
I've
don't think that
noticed
matters. I do think that for a lot of players, the offset sticks
Uh-huh.
is easier to remember that this one up here is walk. This is my left hand. This one's walk.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
aim.
Right.
But that also kind of counters because, like, people with smaller hands have to reach farther for that stick than they do with this one, and it's
Sure, yeah.
been like doctors and stuff. Not a lot of them, but some of them state that it kind of causes like hand
Yeah.
damage just a bit. But that's for younger children who use.
I also like to mention this is a complete add-on. After this, I'm gonna go with
Sure.
Kelso. Kelso's gonna go, but
Oh, yeah, hop in.
I do believe out of the box PlayStation is a better controller. But I do have to say, if you are a professional gamer, those paddles on the back of the Xbox are crucial. I don't think
course.
you can't get as much paddles on a
No,
PlayStation
not
controller.
at all. It's not as customizable as.
And
the
also,
Xbox
I
One
do
is.
believe if you want to break out the extra bucks, there is the Xbox Elite controller, which you can get like
Right.
metallic stuff. But that's only for
That's like
people who are
$150 bucks.
$120.
You
I
know,
think
if
last time I
you're
checked.
if you're gaming like 6 hours a day,
That's
every
your
day of the week,
career.
you might as well just
No.
upgrade because that's your second home, really. Gaming experience. If you guys don't mind,
Go ahead, go ahead.
Dude.
I'm gonna glorify the mouse and
After you do
keyboard.
that, I'm gonna shoot you down.
Going
but that's
old
okay.
I'm in love with mouse and keyboard. Way better than controller. With mouse, you're just more accurate. You have more control.
That's true.
That is true, but you do have to admit it's harder for people to learn those controls starting off. Like with the controller, people
Right.
get it. It's
Yeah, because there's not as much going on with the keyboard. You know, I know when people first start playing games, they use the arrow keys and they don't realize it's the WASD key to move around, and there's so many different keys.
You also have to think about it this way, though.
but once you get used to it, it's
Like for a high-performing shooting
right.
game, people usually have to turn 360. A
Yep.
lot of things, and for that you need a large amount of
Now-
surface area.
oh yeah.
Now,
you
going
can
off-
move
your mouse.
a
going
big
off
mouse
of
pad. is
professional
really,
gaming, though. I do. Now, here's what I think. I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about, and then you're going to understand in the order I give it. Kelso's, the PCs is the big offender. Xbox is next, then it comes PlayStation. I'll tell you what it's cheating and modding. It is
Oh,
way
God.
easier to cheat and mod. We're talking about community.
Yeah.
It's way easier to cheat and mod on a PC than it is
Of
on
course,
Xbox.
yeah.
easily
Because for a cheating on Xbox, which I think is way more common than PlayStation.
It is.
PlayStation is a little bit better.
Yeah,
on
the J
community.
tags. I don't know if
Is
that's
you
still
have to
around.
invest in cheating. You have to buy a new controller, which is not only is it $60, you have to add that on, which just means you're at least looking at $100 controller at the minimum. For what do you think, Kelso?
Well, if you're talking about modded controllers, that I don't consider that cheating. I had one.
Yeah, but
But if you're
course
talking
you do.
about like mod menus and JTagged Xboxes and all that,
I'm just
I
talking
mean,
about.
that's-
I think cheating is way more common on PC, but let's go with modding
that's a
because that's way
fact,
more
right.
common too. Is that it's way easier to mod on PC and
That's-
Xbox than PlayStation.
It's because PC's more accessible and you can like get deeper into game files and whatnot.
I mean, if you guys don't mind, Steam just wants you to mod the game files. I mean, they have the Steam community for each game, and people just put up cool stuff they added. If we're talking about, the nice stuff, not the criminal cheating, obviously. But I mean, you can just find any mod, any cool stuff. If you're bored one day of a game, just find something on there.
But
and
I
have
do
a good
believe
time.
Xbox
It's a lot more
should have like a zero tolerance policy. Like if you're found cheating, your console, your email, and your gamer tag are gone.
They just won't let you get it. While
PC encourages it, Xbox and PS4 most discourage.
It's up to the
are strict about it.
For the consoles, it's up to the maker of the console to make that happen, to be the enforcer. For PC, it's strictly relied on the game you're playing. Like for Overwatch, it has a zero tolerance policy. You're caught, you're done. But you have to create it's easy. Is it easy to create a new account though?
On Overwatch, I mean, it's just like creating a new Google account or anything. But you will have to rebuy the game on that new account, and that's a big stopping point, I would say. And I will say, console recently with the Fallout 4 coming to console, they actually kind of opened up to it a little bit. They allowed mods, just to an extent though. I think they were kind of testing it out.
I think on games like that, it's better to mod because it's open world. You're not hurting anybody. It's just you.
It's solo. It's gonna be solo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really exciting they're doing that. I think that's gonna open up a lot for a console. So you guys, I want to talk about esports real quick, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So I think there's no doubt in my mind. It's just fact that PC has the best esports community, especially with CS:GO and not World of Warcraft, League of Legends.
Overwatch also is very big in there.
I mean, the last CS:GO tournament had $1 million at stake, and I think that's a big part of the gaming community and experience on PC is just watching.
I have to agree. It's amazing, but I do have to say that the consoles are, if I were to say, the PC, once you get to that level, the PC brings you up. But I think the consoles is what
casual gamers.
It's also where you find those people, right? It's like those kids got to start somewhere. Like I believe.
I guess
those kids don't all start on PC, but I know like several people like.
Yeah, the big thing about the PC is it's for hardcore gamers. They want you to game, and they want you to only game.
I mean, well, to an extent.
Yeah.
Depends what community you're stationed in. I mean,
agreed. If you have the appropriate games that have like e-teams and like is big in esports, then you're gonna be very much into it. Whereas the PS4 and the Xbox, they're for like people who get home late from work or from school,
or people who want to find those.
It is the definition of plug and play.
Yeah.
You just want to plug it in, play it, have a good time with your buddies.
And to do that, I think we should transition right into the consumer. Like, what would for each of our consoles? Let's go around. What are the big major consumer standout points? And I'm gonna go a little bit first. One thing I didn't mention, which I forgot to mention, was one big thing for the consumer is for the Xbox. All your cloud saves are saved automatically for every single game. So if you go to another console and put that same game on your same account, you can start where you left off. But for PlayStation, you have to manually select that. I do believe.
Yeah.
Which is a downfall for the consumer side. Now, we've already talked about hardware, but I do think the only thing that we have the consumer on is we have a little bit of a cheaper console, and our console is more adapted to. How do I say this? It's more adapted to the person and everything they have. They got the 4K Blu-ray, and then they got the compatibility to put cable locks. And what do you have to say about going off?
Well, the PS4 it's generally for the newer gamer who doesn't have too much history with the gaming.
Sure.
Also, like the PS4 community is far smaller than the Xbox community. That's a given because Xbox has been a big hit, like for a long time now.
Yeah.
The PS4, like it wasn't a console. Well, not a TV console at least. For far later because they were messing around with the PSP.
Yeah, they were trying to go.
I think the only major reason that I think just to butt in real quick, the only major reason that Xbox started off a little bit stronger than PlayStation is because Xbox immediately out of the gate came out with
Online.
achievements, though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The PlayStation didn't have those original.
Well, I was gonna say, really, I think the reason that Xbox really came out on top was with the original Xbox. I mean, there was online capabilities, and while the
Yeah.
PlayStation 2 was just lacking behind with that,
Yeah, it was just all solo,
And I think
single player
the-
stuff.
communication with other players that just attracted a lot of people to that community, and I think that's why they had a leg up. But I know right now, PlayStation's really pulling ahead. They've really made a change in this
Yeah, of
community.
course, the community's definitely growing.
Oh, yeah,
but yeah,
for
just definitely, I think that consumers usually just pick it because they're like newer into the gaming world, I guess.
Yeah, it's the new fresh thing. A lot of like Call of Duty, one of the most popular games. I mean, it has the exclusives for it. You know, get the DLCs first and whatnot. I mean, it just attracts people to it. People
And
wanna play it.
I'm a visual person, and a lot of people in this world are. First of all, just this is a tangent. This has nothing to do with the console, but the packaging. Personally,
Sure.
I like the PS4 packaging so much more than the Xbox packaging.
I agree.
Have you opened an Xbox before?
No, not the inside, the box.
Oh.
Yeah.
The box can be
So-
customizable to the bundle. Like if you look at the generic PS4 box and the generic Xbox box, the PS4 box takes the cake for me. But I'm a more visual graphics kind of guy.
Now, I'm just curious. So you talk about like the design of the
Yeah,
box,
the
or you talk
design.
about like the opening of it, like
No, the
getting
design.
out?
The design.
Because I was gonna say,
I have not opened the Xbox. I
may
would
be
not.
I will-
because it's.
if you don't mind,
Yeah, go ahead.
I had the Xbox One. I got the Xbox One S not too long ago, about a month ago. I opened it up. It was kind of just bland. It's not like an exciting experience like I wanted it to be. You know,
Would you
it's the
say
next.
the original Xbox had better packaging? Would you say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was a bigger box, nice big green. Like, you open it up, had the slick,
And it was
card on
organized
it.
too,
It was
wasn't it?
organized perfectly with
It's like-
trays, and this kind of seemed tossed together. And maybe it was because it was my second Xbox One. I wasn't as excited,
Well, I also
or
think
I don't
that
know what it was, but this
maybe
didn't
it might
really
have
get me
been-
pumped.
It might be better because sometimes they might sacrifice that for price. So it might be cheaper maybe for that reason, but highly unlikely.
I just
Yeah.
don't like how they. When you say that, I just think they're cheaping out the quality.
What's up
and I
with
don't appreciate
PC? What's their
Yeah,
consumer
what-
choice?
what-
Oh,
makes
so
Them jump that extra $200
As
for
you
the
claim
consumer.
it to be the master race.
it is the master race. So people hop on PC, and I know we don't want to talk about the exclusives, but there's games on PC you just can't play on console. And also, I would like to hop right back to hardware.
Go ahead.
So,
this is the wrap up.
the
man.
processing power,
It's
way beyond,
It's far
way
greater.
beyond.
It's also
Graphics,
more accessible to
graphics
users.
card,
But at
way beyond.
at that
way
point,
beyond.
look-
People want to go to PC for the quality, the graphics, the smooth, like the community, everything. They just want to go to PC. It's a different experience. And
When you say it's, I'd also like to mention because it's easier. It's upgrades. It's a curse and a godsend at the
Sure.
same time because
Yeah.
one, you have to
I'd
upgrade
like
the
to talk
system,
about that as well.
but then it's also way easier to upgrade your system if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, within time, as you know, technology, becomes irrelevant. Like
Over-
Raj's old laptop on the floor here. It's about to.
My
be useless.
laptop, which is 4 years old, was at the peak of the new laptop age. Like 4 years ago, this was a really good gaming laptop. But now we have Raj's laptop, the new laptop, which is
Yeah.
i7 GTX. It's cheaper now. Things have become cheaper.
So I would like to add, so over time, your console is going to come out there, like the old Xbox 360,
Yeah, I was
the
just
old
about to say
PlayStation
that.
3, and what you do, you can't upgrade the parts in it. You have to get a whole new console. And for PC, maybe you invested in a great processor, like maybe 3 years ago,
Like an i7.
and it might still be relevant, but your graphics card could be lacking.
And
You
if,
just spend the $200 on a new graphics card.
if
I
you're
mean,
lucky with the consoles, maybe
Yeah.
you can do a trade up. But that you only get like $100 or $200
Yeah, I
money
mean,
back.
GameStop porks you. I mean, it's not even worth it, but it's money, I guess. But yeah, and you can resell your PC parts on Craigslist or whatever. But I would like to hang on to mine when I upgrade, just
Well, of
for
course, it's a
future builds.
nostalgic factor.
Yeah, it's nostalgic. Like that's my first graphics card. I don't know if that's
Of course.
something you show your kids when you're older or whatnot.
It's definitely not, but I mean,
That's
it's
definitely
good for
not.
personal
Yeah,
achievement, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's also a little something that I know, since we're not comparing it, because the comparison to you have to build your own. You have to kind of know what you're doing, right, Kel? So if you are building your own, it's an experience. But
Yeah.
to compare it to Xbox, PlayStation, just for this example, you do have to find a pre-build. But you would say that
Sure.
building your own is
Oh, definitely. For,
Building. Sorry. Go ahead.
go. You got it.
So building your own will save you lots of money.
$200 to
Up
$300.
to $200 just with the same parts building your own, and you get the experience of in the kind of
Tech world.
you get really nostalgic and happy that you built. You know, I built this. This is mine. I built it from the ground up. Everything in this is what I wanted.
Like our parents had cars.
case is the way
We
I
have
liked
computers now.
Yeah, I mean it's really awesome.
Yeah, of course. Like always, like what
Right.
I've told my mom, like ever since, well, not young, but like ever since I got into gaming, is Mom, I want to build my own computer.
I'm right there with
Yeah,
you.
I mean-
Because with that, like you get the experience of like messing with something that later on will be yours, and it actually works.
Yeah.
Just like an app.
And when
It's
it
like one in the
yeah,
It's like
when
you
it
make an
turns
app and it
on-
works really well. You get happy.
And when it turns on for the first time, it's just the biggest relief, and you're just happy, man. And you're getting right into the gaming, and
And one
Right
of the
into the
best
community.
parts about that is you can have it exactly the way you want.
everything the way you want it. So maybe
Like
you
this
don't mind-
computer that I just bought, it's pre-built.
Like
It's not as it doesn't have as much storage as I want it to be. But if I built it, this is like $1,200.
Well, I'd also
and
like
it's
to say
still
that
not as perfect as I
it
would
could
rather.
be as terrible as you make it, but also some PCs like Kelso's PC is so beautiful. Like it's not even comparison to the
thank you.
Xbox.
I've never
Like,
seen it, but I'm
like
sure it's.
but the like lights and the customizable stuff
Yeah.
like that, it's amazing.
And with the software, with like RGB LED lights.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I mean,
Yeah, one of my friends.
Yeah.
He's a freshman this year. He's so far greater than his kind. He built his own computer and like he's made his keyboard specific to where the keys light up
hmm
for what is being used at the moment
yeah,
in the
yeah.
game.
And you can do that with. I mean, I have a Corsair. I forget the name, but I have a Corsair keyboard that you can set profiles for, and I mean anything. It's customizable to the max. If you don't like blue, like my computer's white, it's a white case and blue fans. If I'm tired of blue, I just go buy $2 fans at Fry's that are red and switch it up. Make
And
it
then
look
change
different.
RGB colors. And
Yeah, and then
good.
change the LED strips, maybe make it black or not black, but white, or change the color on the
Yeah,
inside.
of course.
Yeah. And I will say, like, having the glass case on the side of the computer, I'm always looking into is also something really cool.
And I think that's why a lot of
experience.
people, for the major reasons, customizability and graphics, jump up to that next price point. Because the PlayStation and the Xbox are right close, but a lot of people make that jump.
Yeah.
And it's worth it for them.
Yeah, in conclusion, I would say, without a doubt, PC has the best graphics, the best
Of course.
processing.
If you're-
Most customization, it's not like
But
a
you gotta-
communist
kinda gotta
country
take that
like
with a grain of
Xbox and
salt.
PlayStation. They kind of let you freely do what you want, purchase what you want. They're not
Of course,
directing
if
you in
you're
the right
if you're willing
direction.
to get that one-time investment going,
And
then
it is an investment.
I definitely
It is an
think that the PC is
But
way
yeah.
better than
If
the
you
PS4
have
that I'm
if you
arguing.
have that money, a lot of people would say just do it. But for those of like the average person who does it, the consoles are a nice compromise. to do.
And that's
Yeah.
the question you gotta ask yourself: is it worth the money for
I'd
you?
like to
Um,
end this off or wrap it up by saying a quote and what I think really matters when you pick a console or PC is quote that most gamers don't care how a system works as long as it works. It may not be the hardcore gamers, but it's the majority of the gamers.
mhm.
But also, I want to mention that for all of us, I think we all chose our consoles based on friends. You got to go where the friends
Of
are.
course,
That's
yes.
the main thing of the day.
I would like to say, so I started
I mean-
gaming on my PlayStation 1. That broke. Got another PlayStation 1. PlayStation 2. I'm a big PlayStation guy. My buddies started playing Xbox 360.
Yeah, and that's why you
So that's why I switched.
You were
I
the
prefer the PlayStation 4
In fact,
than
Kelso,
Xbox.
you were the first person I ever played 2 with, weren't you? Or
Oh, probably.
like on the 360, you were
Yeah.
my first friend on there.
Yeah, that's probably about
Yeah,
it.
that's why I also went with PS4. I had the choice of going Xbox or PS4 because the 4 was my first ever console, and it was a choice honestly. And then I asked most of my friends what they played on, and it was the PS4, which is why I leaned towards
Yeah, I
that,
mean,
and
that's-
I switched
I think that's a valid point. Though. That's the main reason.
because
People
you're
choose
at the end of the
consoles.
day, it's all about having fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's about it, guys.
So,
anything to wrap up? Or
Well, let's wrap up our names again. I'm Zach.
I'm Raj, and we have our guest here.
yeah, appreciate having me on here, Kelso.
All right, thank you for listening.
All right, you take care.